Everybody can see this, so is it up?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Hello, everyone. So yeah, I'm going to take you through some of the very basic functionality within Miradi to do with reporting or at least getting data out of Miradi. So these are the basics. What you're looking at is the Miradi Marine example file. I'm going to jump to the reports section. And to start off with, I've hidden this, but some of you probably know, most people don't use it, but if you get lost anytime, actually the wizard view here has quite a few details on how to produce reports. On the left, it's describing these tabs here. On the right, it's describing the second part in my presentation, which is just getting bits and pieces out of Miradi. I'm going to hide it for now. The three tabs, the first tab, standard reports, this allows you to run a full report, basically a dump of all of your data within the Miradi project file into an RTF file or sections of from within Miradi. I'm going to just give an example of the monitoring plan. If you click Run, it comes up with a window asking you where you want to save the file. I've created a directory for it. I'm going to call this monitoring plan RTF. And as you can see, there's no other options than just the RTF file option. RTF is rich text format, meaning you can open it in any word processor. So I've saved it. Went pretty quick. Actually, most reports go pretty quick. And I'm going to open it in Word. I've got RTF associated with Word. If you haven't, you can open Word and then open this, just navigate to this file and open it. So here you have it, the monitoring plan in RTF format. Pretty much the nice thing about this as well is that it includes the icons from Miradi. And here you can fiddle around with any formatting or any content you want to include. Like for instance, you might want to change the font size to be equal all across the table and make it a bit smaller so everything fits in. Make it Arial, for instance. And you can go through this and do any formatting you like. Another nice thing about this is that down the bottom in every of these plans, it includes a legend. So you can include this in your project plan or whatever you're going to use it for as well. Then when you're done, you go File, and you need to save it as, and you can save it as a docx, as a Word doc. I'm going to do that now. And it doesn't change anything there to the formatting, or you can save it as a PDF, for instance, if you're happy with the outputs. Save as, and it opens it straight away. And here you see it already looks quite a bit nicer than what it looks like in Miradi, right? This is something you could use, and the legend as well. Okay, so that's the basic standard reports, and all of these work in the same way. So there's no customizations to content here in this section. All the content changes you want to make, you need to do in Word. The other tabs, the report templates, this allows you to do a bit more fiddling with content. There's a pre-created one in this marine example. Down the bottom here, it says content, and you can select the pieces from Miradi that you want to include in this customized report. So yeah, you can just check the boxes. And once you're done, again, you can go Run Selected and save it. I'm not going to show that now. You get the picture in doing that, but that's how you can do a bit more customization on your reports. Now, if you want to dive into it any further, Claire is going to talk about that later. Yeah. This is a lot more advanced, and Bush Heritage, by example, also uses that. I'm not going to go into that. But another way to get some data out of Miradi is if, for instance, you want to export a results chain. Let's say this one on shark fin soup. You can go File, so you just go to the results chain which you want to export, and go File, Export Current Page as JPEG or PNG. These two options are pretty much similar in it's just a different format, and PNG generally exports a smaller file size. For now, I'm just going to choose JPEG, and the image scale, it's standard, by default it's set to 100%. It's good practice to put it to 300 or so, since if you zoom in, some of the lines at 100 don't come up quite well. So I've exported it as 300 here. I'm going to save it. So this is a results chain of the shark fin soup. Save JPEG. And coming up, there you have it. So, and this you can then use, also import into a project plan or whatever you want to do with it. I'm just checking the time now. I think I'm going well.
You're doing fine, thanks.
Yep. Then another thing that's often quite a lot used is, for instance, the target viability. It's quite a large table, but you can also export it in different ways. Let's say, for instance, you only want to export certain targets. Whatever you see here is going to be exported. So for now, I'm going to expand all rows, so it will include everything. It will export everything, but you can choose here already what you want to export. Now I'm going to go File, Export Current Page as, and I've got more options now. I can export it as an RTF file or a tab delimited file. I'll start with this one, RTF file, and I'm going to save it. Viability, oops, my typing's a bit off. Okay, and same as before, you can imagine I've just got a table here, and it includes the icons, the colors, and everything, and you can do your fiddling of the formatting and contents and whatever you like. From here, if you want to, no, actually, I'll give another example later. Hold on. So this is the viability table. As an example, and again, don't forget to save as a document, as a Word document. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to show you is, let's say you've got a pretty extensive work plan with lots of financial data, hours, resource hours, and that sort of stuff, and you want to export that to Excel. And do more processing with that, do all the things that Excel can do, like pivot tables or formulas or whatever you want to do. Again, I'm going to expand all rows, so everything's exported. I'm going to go to File, Export Current Page as, and then you've got again all these options. I'm first going to show the tab delimited file. So I'll click that. And then you can see I've only got one option. It exports it as a TXT. Other people might know this as a CSV, but Miradi exports it as a TXT, but it's tab delimited. So I'm going to save it and show to you what that means. Here's the work plan TXT. If I open this in a text editor, it's not really readable. But as you can see, it's got tabs. Now I'm going to open Excel and open it in there. And then I've got more options, which I'll show you. Oh yeah, I've got to choose the file type because it's a TXT, and by default it comes up with just Excel. So I'm going to open that, and then it comes up with a wizard. And by default, it sets it to delimited, which is right. It's characters or like tabs to separate each field. I'm going to go next and skip through all of the settings here. But for instance, here you could already format certain columns to a certain format. You can also do that afterwards. I'm going to do that afterwards. Finish. And here you have your work plan in an Excel file. It's not formatted yet, but after you've done some formatting, data will make a lot more sense as well. And for instance, now you can do things like the financial data. You can change that into financial format. And that's quite handy. And this one, the headers, you might want to change back to general, right? So you can imagine what you can do with this. But this is a flat file without any formatting. But you can do a whole bunch more with this than you could do in Miradi. Another way to do this, I go back to Miradi, and you go File, Export Page As, and you export it as RTF. So I'm going to export the work plan as RTF. Done. Open it in Word. So here's the same table, but in Word. Now I'm going to select it all. So I've selected the whole table, and I go Control C, or whatever you'll do, copy, and I'm going to go back to Excel, create a new file, an empty file, and I'm going to paste it in. So Control V. As you can see, it's now copied along the formatting from Miradi, and also including the icons. But as you can also see that, some rows are quite large. This has to do with it makes all the columns wrap text. So you would just expand the columns, and then you get to format your Excel file like this. And again, you can change the formatting of certain fields, like to financials or accounting, and whatever you want to do with it. I think this is it. These are the basics of reporting within Miradi. So have fun with it.
Jens, there's a question there in the Q&A box from Chris.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so it's just asking, Chris, you're wanting to know, can you export as a whole 12 months rather than the quarters? Jens, are you familiar with those settings around how you can hide quarters?
Yeah, you do it here, right? In the
right now, excuse me, you need to
maybe Annette. Yeah.
If you can drive Miradi, if you go to the summary view, there's a settings tab in the, I think it's called financial planning. Yeah. So you can see that quarter column visibility option just a bit further down. Yeah. So you can, depending on what data you've already got entered, you can hide the quarter columns, which will then just show the month columns. But if you've already entered some data into the quarters themselves, you can't unhide them. So, Chris, if you're wanting to sort out one of your projects, maybe we can chat later on about just exactly how that data's been entered and how you can unhide those columns if you want to. So it's probably best handled offline, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Thanks heaps for that,